I can never quite tell with a vegan egg and cheese if I'm supposed to put other stuff on it. I never ate eggs before I was vegan. The Just Eggs are the only eggs I know. So happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Stay tuned for more stuff from today. It is, I need coffee. It's Canadian Thanksgiving, and Thanksgiving is a really fun holiday here in Canada. If you didn't know, we originated it. The first Canadian Thanksgiving predates the American ones by quite a lot, and they're very different. In Canada, we give thanks for the harvest. We thank the earth. We come together. It's very much about bounty and autumnal harvest. It is not about pilgrims or anything else. It's a totally different occasion here in Canada. But being a vegan at Thanksgiving is interesting. I think being a vegan at any holiday can be a little challenging, especially when you first start out being a vegan. But I will be honest, I really love my mom's turkey dinner. I grew up eating it and it was really good. And I'm sorry if this offended any vegans out there, but when the first Thanksgiving rolled around when I was being vegan, I was very sad. We have a very small family and it was just me trying to figure out what I was going to eat that was different. And over the years, I have done a lot of different things. Now, with different holidays, I've sort of settled. I've figured out like my vegan meals, something that feels special and big and lovely. And I've nailed in Christmas. Christmas is lasagna season. Christmas, I make my Christmas lasagna. The recipe is up. You can find it. It is the one, I don't make it the rest of the year. I look forward to it at Christmas time. I'm very worried about not being able to find Beyond Meat for it this year, but fingers crossed, I digress. So Christmas I have sorted, but Thanksgiving has always been more of a challenge. And for me, for Thanksgiving, I've done everything. I did the stuffed beast when that was around before they changed companies. I've tried the new one out of the Better Butchers. It used to be the Very Good Butchers. That was a totally different company. Now the same guys have the Better Butchers. I've tried both. They're amazing. I think it's probably the same recipe, but it's amazing. It's one of my favorite things. It's a little pricey for just feeding one person, so it's not always in the budget every year, but I do love it. I have done the Gardein stuffed like croquette situations. They're good. I do have some in my freezer because they're just good for a normal meal. But I really kept thinking like I wanted like a signature, like something that I did every year. It was my reliable meal, the way that a turkey dinner was always my reliable meal before. And last year I decided on doing pot pie. I was like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to have pot pie. Pot pie is going to be my Thanksgiving meal. And I made an excellent pot pie, if I do say so myself. It was beautiful. It had these oyster mushrooms in it and herbs, and it was like very, very earthy autumnal vibes. I think it's actually, I called it the autumn harvest pie on my website. And it was great. And I wanted to do that again this year, but I'm having a little problem trying to figure out the pastry. So I started thinking and started plotting. And today I am doing a total experiment. I have this giant book of, since I started being vegan, of all the recipes when I'm like making recipes, writing recipes, that kind of stuff, of figuring things out. And this year I've decided, I haven't even written it down in my book yet. I'm going to make a cross between a mushroom pot pie and a shepherd's pie. I don't have a name for it. Somebody's probably going to tell me it exists already in like England or Wales or Scotland or something. I don't know. But I just feel there's something in there that I want to play with. And I want to stick with the pot pie vibes because I really love that for this time of year and the harvest. But I want to find a different crust topping. And I've done pot pies with like a Pillsbury dough crust. And I've done pot pies with like a really fancy vegan dough crust. But I'm not about making my own pastry. And I wanted to see if mashed potatoes worked on top of it, to be honest. It sounds good, right? Doesn't like mushrooms and mashed potatoes sound like a really good combination? Oh my God, this coffee is not going to be big enough to get me through the day. that said, I have a lot of things to do today. I might edit this in so that you guys see some of the behind the scenes. I realized the pot pie video that I made last year, I never uploaded it to YouTube. I didn't even edit it. I've had a very busy, complicated year. I lost my job right before last Thanksgiving. Life has been a little complicated, so I'm still catching up on things. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit that video, try to get it uploaded, and then I'm going to see if I can film me making this experiment. And if it works out, I'll give you the recipes, and if not, you will be with me through my failure on Thanksgiving. I already made a little TikTok this morning about my breakfast, which was just like the leftovers I had in my house, a couple of English muffins, some frozen just egg patties, and the last 2 slices of BioLife cheese that I had in the kitchen. Something really light and easy. I'm having my little coffee. Full disclosure, I currently have a super bad pain in my neck. I have been limping on my knee for almost 2 weeks, and I broke my toe the other night. So this might not be the highest quality video you see from me. Fingers crossed I get through it though. All right, happy Thanksgiving. Let's see where this goes. Okay, so here's some behind the scenes of how I go about writing a recipe. I always date it because it's easier for me to go back in my camera roll and try to figure out what I was making when if I put a date on the recipe. So far, I'm calling this the Thanksgiving experiment. You'll notice at the beginning of the video, I called it Forager pie. That's actually a name that my dad gave to it. Afterwards, we were workshopping some names. I was calling it the log driver's waltz, but he actually came up with a good one because you forage for mushrooms. And it keeps in theme of the harvest and abundance of Thanksgiving. I originally thought I was going to caramelize the onions, but as you will see later in the video, some things went wrong, so that did not happen. And I did have some soy chunks on hand just in case. I wasn't quite sure how the mushrooms would hold up, if they would be enough, what would be going on. So I had them as a backup plan if I needed to use them. But I just sort of map out the ingredients and the order that they're going in, and then I kind of guess at some of the process and the time that it will take, and I put 0 ingredients next to it. That way I can go back in and sort of make my own notations, write down what I actually did, and it's a little bit easier for when I have to write up the recipe for the website later or make adjustments for future. This just gives me a really good starting point of things I already know how to do, and then I adjust from there. I mean, I've made shepherd's pie once before, and I've made pot pie a bunch of times. So how hard could this be, really? Really good live with Jennifer Esposito. You know, is kind of All right, it's time to get cooking. First up, the mushrooms. I went with 2 different kinds. These are mini portobellos. There's 340 grams of them. And the other ones are cremini button mushrooms. There's just over 500 grams of those. And then under my cutting board, I always put a towel to make sure that it doesn't slip around, just to give me some extra leverage, which you will see comes in handy later. There are a couple of ways to treat your mushrooms. One of them is you can peel them. Doesn't always work, but I am just showing you here. It is a trick. If you hate washing mushrooms, this will help you. It doesn't always get all the skin off of it though, so it just really depends on where the mushroom stage is at, if you can see the gills, that kind of thing. So this is one option. But I decided it was going to be extremely tedious, and with all the little button cremini mushrooms, I decided to wash them by hand instead. What I do is I just take 2 or 3 in my hand under cold running water and rub them together so the mushrooms themselves act as their own little scrubby. It's a lot more delicate than using one of those mushroom brushes, and honestly, I just don't have the patience to do anything else. With the mini portobellos, I chopped them up really big and rough. I wanted to achieve multiple sizes of mushrooms in this dish so that I could have a range of textures, because mostly it's just mushrooms. And the cremini button mushrooms are so tiny. They're super flavorful and they're very firm, but I wanted to have that sort of range and mouthfeel, I guess you would say. And this process took so much longer than I was expecting. I was actually about half an hour late on my whole dinner prep just because it took so long to clean mushrooms, and I really should have started earlier instead of editing videos. But hey, we'll learn that for next time. Okay, realistically, probably not, but still, it got it done and it was delicious. I'm just sort of having the little cremini mushrooms. Some of them are too tiny and I just threw them right in, and that's what it looked like at the end. This is going to sound really weird if you've never seen it done before. I am dry frying the mushrooms. Mushrooms aren't vegetables, they're fungus, and if you put them into a medium heat pan, they will cook out all the extra liquid and you will avoid that weird rubbery texture later on. I'm going with a red onion and a yellow onion, or at least I was.
Ooh, look at all those mushies. Mushies!
And that's Dad being excited about the recipe as he walked into the kitchen. Oh. No. Oh no. And this is why you always keep extra onions on hand. No matter what, keep double the amount you need for a recipe, because you never quite know when you cut into an onion if it's going to be bad or not. And it's not the farmer's fault. They wouldn't know. It's just one of those things when it comes down to food. So already this recipe has quickly pivoted to just be red onions and mushrooms, so the flavor profile is changing up a bit. And then I had this giant head of garlic and near catastrophe. This garlic was delicious. It was large. I knew it was going to be really pungent, which is fine. I love pungent garlic, but it was cured so hard that I could, well, almost have an accident. I could barely cut through it. I had to like put the tip of my knife into an edge just to try to find a way into the skin. And you'll see even peeling it by hand was really, really difficult. It definitely didn't want to come apart. It's just a trick of garlic, really. Sometimes they happen like that. The smaller you cut up garlic, if you do like a mince or grated garlic, the more pungent it's going to be. So knowing that this was already going to be a pretty strong boy, I decided just to dice it really big. Now the dry frying mushrooms are doing its thing. The liquid is coming out of them. I haven't added salt or pepper or anything else here. This is literally just the mushrooms cooking out their own juice. And once you're all done with them and they look kind of cooked down, put them into whatever pan you're going to be cooking the dish into. That's what I did, at least. I'm talking like this is already a recipe. But yeah, put them in there and then add some olive oil. Oh, I love that sizzle. And then sizzle up your garlic and onions. I was going to do fresh thyme. I wrote it down, but I was too lazy to go downstairs on my broken foot, so I used some dry thyme from last year's batch. And now that the flavors have developed, it's really just about making that pot pie filling. So we're going to add our mushrooms back in, cook them a little bit, and then we're going to add in some flour and some vegetable stock and some Worcestershire sauce, some vegan Worcestershire sauce, to make sure we have that really nice, juicy base. The very last thing you want to add in is your frozen peas. If you can see, the mushroom juice has really come together and it's quite thick, and the frozen peas will just cook out in the oven, so they want to be the last things to go in. And now to the mashed potatoes. I am leaving the skins on. I'm just using 5 yellow potatoes, throwing them onto boil. Nothing that exciting. I have the mashed potatoes cooking for... what the hell is on my hand? I have the mashed potatoes cooking for the Thanksgiving thing that I'm making. But I'm also working with a broken toe and a messed up knee and a sore shoulder. Oh my God, this day is going to be so long. So in between, I am laying on the couch with my foot up. It's been an interesting Thanksgiving. Should I be eating before Thanksgiving dinner? Probably not. I did realize, however, that the only thing I ate today was those 2 egg and cheese muffins and like 3 coffees. So we still got an hour till dinner time. So I just mashed up the potatoes, and the steam was doing me no favors. I throw in some of the Basil vegan margarine and a bunch of the oat milk barista version from Earth's Own, and then just go to town. Just squish it up however you want. I don't need mine to be like extra whipped and fluffy. I want lumps and skin, and you will notice I'm not seasoning it. I know people always say to make sure that you season, salt and pepper every step, but sometimes when you use those stock blends for bouillon, they can be extra salty, and I wasn't sure how the mushrooms would adjust, so I just decided to forego putting any seasoning into the potatoes at this step. I cooked it at 350 for half an hour. Honestly, I could have done it a little longer, I think. I like a crispier potato top, and I wanted to see more of that gravy bubbling through, but it was really good. So, and it was already so late for dinner, so I decided that was enough. The thing I was most concerned about was the mashed potatoes somehow disintegrating into the gravy below, but it worked. It worked out. My experiment turned out delicious, and I even had non-vegans try it, and they said it was delicious. By they, I mean my dad. And overall, it was just a really great solution for a Canadian Thanksgiving. And let me know what you have for Thanksgiving, where you're from, if you're a vegan, in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe this video. I always forget to ask people to do that. Just subscribe to the channel. And wherever you are, have a happy Thanksgiving.